What was the turning point that made you choose a life over addiction?
I never chose to be drug free. I never wanted to quit. I never thought that drugs was an issue. But I had a very, very bad childhood. My father was very, very controlling. What to wear, what not to wear, baal kaise hone chahiye. Every child is not meant to be a 70%, 80%. We all have our own this thing, Constant arguments, shouting going on, physical abuse, or you're hitting the child. I didn't want to be home. Now, if I say 10 to 12 is the maximum people who are getting, introduced to drugs.
At such a small age?
Yeah. Number one is these days is vaping, or it would be a tobacco, a cigarette. The third is your beer. Everybody starts from this. Drugs cannot be, kind of eradicated. Never.
Do you think parents should talk to children about drugs? Welcome to this episode of Goenka Alpha Edge Podcast by GD Goenka Mohali, a space where we engage in meaningful conversations that nurture emotional well-being, resilience, and hope. Hi, I'm Harman Sidhu, the Academic Director and Head of Communications at GD Goenka Mohali. Today we explore the journey of recovery, compassion, and purpose through lived experiences. Our speaker discovered healing from a long history of substance dependency despite outward marks of success as a medical professional. Through the support of spiritual recovery programs such as Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, he found acceptance, hope, and renewed purpose. This journey led to a deep commitment to transforming how addiction recovery is approached, shifting from punishment and stigma to compassion, dignity, and care. With professional training in de-addiction, he went on to establish Mehar Foundation, a rehabilitation initiative that treats addiction as a disease and individuals as deserving of respect and support. We are honored to welcome Dr. Abhimanyu Rampal, Project Director of Mehar Foundation, who will share insights on healing, responsibility, and creating environments that support lasting recovery. Thank you so much for being here with us, Abhimanyu.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you chose to come here and talk to us today, because what we're talking is a little heavy for parents who are going to be listening to this, and sometimes it's very overwhelming. But I personally believe that these conversations are very important for parents to listen, because sometimes you learn much more from somebody's experience than you actually do from just random Googling. So I'm going to put you this question straight up. You lead a drug rehabilitation center today, but your own journey began on the other side. What was the turning point that made you choose a life over addiction?
I never chose to be drug free, and I never wanted to quit. And I never thought that drugs was an issue. But it was the pain which came with the drug use, that made me kind of this thing. And this was always, I had a very bad childhood. I belong to a family of 30, 40 doctors, and upper middle class family, but bad childhood. And then I would say a very bad divorce, then getting legally disowned by my family, a lot of mental issues. So all this together with the pain, this thing, there was no choice, and I had to, kind of, not even had to, I would say it was kind of a spiritual awakening kind of a thing, because I could not see my ex-wife, or, we both were suffering, and I was not able to make things okay. And it was just sudden that, I've had enough,
Right.
And I didn't even know what to do about it. And kind of went cold turkey, locked myself in the room.
There was awareness about being an addict all through, was it?
I never considered myself an addict.
Oh.
Because in my mind, an addict was someone who's sadkon pe gira hua hai, kapde fate hue hain, and I had a car, I had a wife, beautiful wife, I had a dog, and I had money. I was a postgraduate doctor. I was working as a lecturer in a college,
right,
teaching there, and how could I be an addict?
True.
So being a doctor also, I also never knew that, that this is a disease.
Right.
So...
At what point you felt like, okay, this is where it's going?
I never felt it like that, It was just that
So what was the turning point?
See, I could not handle. I was in a, it was a love marriage, and I was in a live-in with her also for a year. But when I started staying with her, so we started having a lot of issues, and she had anger issues. I had drug issues.
Right.
So I didn't know that what is happening. And we were all on our own, no family, nothing. Had been isolated because I was not listening to anyone.
True.
I went against everyone and got married to her because that, at that age, it's something like कि, I love her. इससे प्यार नहीं होगा तो, in Punjabi they say ना कि मैं तो फाला लाऊंगा. ये नहीं होगा ना. So, kind of creating my own problems, and I could not see her, cry all day, and I could not find a way out.
Right.
But somewhere or the other, when these issues started, I would say since last 3-4 months before I left drugs, I had started praying, but I was praying for Bhagwan, Shanti de de, please, I cannot handle this, I need peace of mind. And one day suddenly, that in the morning I got up and I had to go to the college, and it was a regular day, and maybe and every day I would use. In the morning I would have a joint or other things or cough syrups or whatever. It was a regular day.
Right.
And suddenly, around in the morning, I started feeling pain in my body, a lot of pain. And I couldn't go to the college. I went back to my room, and I just lied down on my bed, and I told my wife, please, mere shoes utar do. She took off my shoes, and the next thing which came out of my mind was, aaj ke baad nasha nahi karna. So I never tried quitting also. I didn't want to quit also. I didn't know that drugs was an issue, but this thing came out.
And did it happen that way?
What?
You said that you decided.
Yeah, and I just locked myself in a room with her.
That's lucky.
No medicine, nothing. And, first time I realized what withdrawals are and how painful it is.
True.
But I didn't sleep for 8-9 days because I didn't take any psychiatric help, nothing I took. But, after 12 or 13 days, when last 24 hours I slept, I got up, I was perfectly okay. So that's how it started.
Do you think that because you were educated enough, there was a point that you felt like, okay, I don't want to do this, I'm not going to do this. And then when you were dealing with withdrawal symptoms, that, this is happening to me because I'm trying to quit something. And because you said that you've not gone to any psychiatric help, you've not taken anybody's help.
No, for that time.
Okay, that period of
I've
time.
been I've from class 8th to 10th, I'm from Amritsar. So my mother brought me to PGI for counseling psychiatry department for 2 years every week. Okay. And I was not using drugs. I used drugs the first time when I was 17, first year in college.
Right.
I had not smoked a cigarette before that.
Right.
But I had other issues.
Do you still feel that your education helped you get over it? And if it is...
not at all.
Not at all? Right.
Because me, educated people, or we doctors, we think we know it all.
Yeah, it's the other way around.
Yeah, that who's going to, hame kya bataoge tum?
Right.
That comes with it. So it's easier now when I deal with other people, helping them. It's much easier to, work with a person who's not too educated.
Right.
They listen.
They listen. True. You're right, actually.
Yeah.
If you think of it, yes. It's difficult for people.
Addiction has nothing to do with education or your intelligence, IQ. It's a disease.
So this is also something that the parents will take away, that actually when we look at drugs in schools and, with this new generation coming up, you say it has nothing to do with education, no matter which school they're studying in, where they are, what backgrounds they're coming from.
It has something to do with poverty.
Right.
If we work with government schools also, poverty is one of the factors which drives a person into addiction.
Right.
It's a big factor.
Right.
So, but it is not the only factor. Genetics is the biggest factor.
Right.
Someone in the family, if you have, from parental, maternal side, if, someone was an alcoholic or was an addict, the chances of children, the child getting into this is about 70% more.
Right.
So how do you deal with that? It has nothing, And then there is awareness about substance abuse. Then it is about the home environment.
Right.
So if all these things are there, the thing is going to manifest at something or the other.
Right.
Drug addiction is one of those things.
Right.
It could be sex addiction. It could be gambling addiction.
Absolutely.
It could be phone addiction. It could be, codependency in a relationship.
Right.
Every addiction, food.
True.
Yeah.
True. So when you look back at your younger self, what is the one thing you wish an adult had noticed or addressed earlier?
See, I feel whenever with me younger self, I would say that to treat me as a kind of a unique child. Being from the family of doctors, it was expected that I also have to become a doctor. The expectations were so high, and I would say that I don't think I would want anything my parents would have noticed. I would want that they would have, amongst themselves, been loving. That environment would have been there.
Did you feel the lack of love growing up?
Yeah, definitely. I had a very, very bad childhood. My father was very, very controlling. What to wear, what not to wear, baal kaise hone chahiye, है ना? And the focus was just padhai, marks, and that's it. And I was not, every child is not meant to be a, 70%, 80%. We all have our own this thing, other things. So I think maybe they would have noticed that, because as a child, even in...
Were you expressive as a
not
child?
at all.
And was there... So you saying you're not expressive is because your parents didn't give you the space to express, or you didn't feel safe in the environment? Or was this your personality that, I don't like to talk?
See, when you have, a mother or father, you have your parents at home, there's constant arguments, shouting going on, or there's physical abuse, or you're hitting the child.
Right.
How will I? I didn't want to be home.
Right.
So there was nothing
somewhere we see a very disturbed childhood would put children at risk.
That is the main thing, So when children come to me today, in the rehab, or families come to us, one thing we know that, there's too much dysfunctionality in the family. Now the treatment is also the same thing, that the mother and father, they need to work on themselves. The boy, definitely, he's going to stay somewhere and he's going to work on himself, but eventually he has to go back to that place.
You said boy. Are there even girls?
Yeah. Definitely. There's no, but definitely this thing is less.
Less. Or is it less because people don't
with
report?
Girls?
Yes, with girls. Are people not reporting?
One of the reasons is that also. The other is, you could say the cultural this thing. That it's not very socially acceptable. A girl getting a drink and a guy, still in India at least.
Right.
So the exposure.
I think drinks have become very normal, but I'm talking about something more bigger. I'm talking about drugs directly. Is it gender divided still? Or
girls are affected less, definitely, as compared. I'm not saying they're not there.
Right.
Yeah, but as compared to guys, there's a lot of difference.
Right. At what age do you now see children first getting exposed to drugs, and what usually opens the doors?
See, now if I say, I would say from 10 years to 16 years of this thing.
10 years.
10 is the maximum. People who are getting, introduced to drugs is at the age of 10, 9. But 10, I would say, is 10 to 12 is the maximum. So with that said, it is, number one is these days is vaping. It starts with that. Or it would be a tobacco, a cigarette. And the third is your beer. Everybody starts from this.
At such a small age?
Yeah, it's normal.
And where do they get access?
And it's... What access?
Access to all these things.
It's everywhere.
I have a 10-year-old.
There's always going to be availability and access. Drugs cannot be, kind of eradicated. Never. It's not possible.
Do you think parents should talk to children about drugs?
Yes, definitely. And the point is, not parents even, but I would want that, the schools should talk about it.
Right.
Now, the major thing, because I work with a lot of government agencies and we work with the police, the narcotics, everything. So, one thing which does not work is the say no to drugs. This doesn't work,
Right.
You just keep telling someone, I've had people who would tell me, wives would call me and say that, my husband, he's a brigadier and I want you to come and tell him that alcohol is not good for him. So I would tell him that it's written behind the bottle. Everybody knows that drugs is bad. So what are you trying to do? So what approach works is, like what we do is, we go for a government school, for example, because they don't have auditoriums or nothing, So in the assembly time, we ask for 30 minutes in the morning.
Right.
So there, what I'll do is that, I run an NGO. I would take a 18-year-old or a 20-year-old boy or a girl, whatever, and, share his experience, how he started his drug use, how he would smoke cigarettes, in 5th class or 6th class, then how it, graduated to other harder drugs, and then what happened with him, how he enjoyed, and then how, basically his life was, ruined because of drugs. And then today he's come out of it and how he's enjoying life. So we make them share their experience, strength, and hope, we call it.
Right.
That children listen to, because he's trying to kind of, talking from his heart. True. There's no lecture,
Right.
And you should see, it is so amazing, like a child standing on the stage, like a boy, 20-year-old, and there are 400-500 children sitting on the floor. For those 15 minutes, there is no one is talking also, they're just listening. And then they open up, when then we ask them, like, 5th, 6th class के बच्चे जो होते हैं, we ask them कि किसके घरों में, because of alcohol abuse है, and 300 hands will go up. And then you don't know what to do. We don't have the infrastructure to, so it's the same thing we do it in other schools also. Mostly St. John's, wherever. I've been to GD Goenka also, and we do not tell them anything. We'll go there, we will just talk about ourselves, what happened. Right. This is what happened, And this is what I feel when I was in college or wherever. If somebody would have just come, and shared it, this is where it leads
learning from example.
Yeah. But everybody knew the drugs are bad.
True.
So, this approach, this is starting, we're trying to do it. But abhi tak, hum fase hue hain, say no to drugs. Drugs are bad. And this thing doesn't work. That, it's bad. That bad attracts me, children more. Itna kya bad hai? Now I want to try it. Alcohol to har jagah milti hai. But ye kya cheez hai jo bad hai na? That is the attraction.
I see. Yeah. Many parents believe my child is too young or my child comes from a good family. How risky is this assumption?
See, addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, it is a disease. When we say a disease in our medical this thing, when an organ, it changes its structure or its efficiency to work. Like in alcoholism, the liver changes. It cannot digest alcohol anymore.
Right.
And with drug addiction, your receptors, your brain structure changes.
Right.
So once that has happened, and that can happen to anyone, your economically weaker section or the other way around, the disease is not going to say.
True.
So it's a genetic factor. There's a genetic factor. It's a multifactorial disease. It's, for example, I'll tell you, we try to make it simple. That if 100 people eat sugar, maybe 5 people will become diabetic. Is it their fault? No. So 100 people will try alcohol or drugs, different drugs. Out of that, about 20% are going to get addicted to it, who have that genetic predisposition to that problem.
True.
So it's nothing to do with the...
True. Absolutely.
How much money you have? Are you a doctor like me? Or are you a rickshaw wala? Are you an IAS?
Because I see this, in this culture where, parents come from good backgrounds, and, if there's any conversation around drugs happening, and they're like, no, हमारे बच्चे ऐसे नहीं करते ना, हमारे घरों के बच्चे ऐसे नहीं, ये सब चीजें हम नहीं करते. So that kind of mental attitude, I think it just blocks the parent from being aware and conscious. And
I feel parenting, especially giving, bringing a child, having a baby, I think it is one of the most important things in life. True. And there is no exams for it. Are you okay?
Nobody prepares.
There should be an exam. Are these people fit to have a child?
I agree.
Then there has to, then there is hands-on training. True. With the first child.
Absolutely.
So it's very, very this thing. I think, you need to be very sorted out yourself.
I just find it so weird that in our society, we will prepare the child for IAS and this and that exam. As parents, we would do everything for our child. But the biggest lesson of life, marriage, childbirth, parenting, zero. Even your own parents never share an experience of their marriage or a mistake that they've done or how they've recovered it. They will never tell you that. They will keep everything behind the doors.
Yeah. See, the point is, children, as a parent also, if you tell them something, they're not going to listen to that.
You show them.
They see it.
They see it.
True. So if a mother and a father, if the mother is shouting or, at the father, or the father is doing something like, physical abuse or verbal abuse,
right.
Yeah, that is what the child is going to do. Because he's going to say, if my dad can treat my mom like this, it is okay for me also to treat women like that.
True.
So हम जो मर्जी बोलते रहे हमारे डैडी ना कि dishonesty is bad, cheating नहीं करनी, है ना? पर बच्चों को पता होता है मेरे डैडी के पास भी black पैसे हैं, है ना? So saying something, and doing something, it doesn't.
So basically,
children will, when a father, especially, is not your child's role model.
True.
That's a problem.
He's
going to look for role models outside. और रोल मॉडल तो फिर वो पंजाबी के गाने भी हैं, एक्टर्स भी हैं, वो रोल मॉडल आ जाता है ना.
True.
है ना? So
absolutely agree. I agree. Parenting is so hard because you're literally you've been observed every second.
Yes.
While I think I've always personally also believed that हमको लगता है कि हम बच्चे को कुछ सिखा रहे हैं, बता रहे हैं, but it's the other way around. You have to become the best version of yourself to raise humans that go out in the society and become good people and, civilized people.
If I am using my phone when my child is talking to me, and then I'm telling him, you are using too much phone, you shouldn't be using the phone. What nonsense.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so we have a no screen policy at home.
Yeah,
right?
That's very important.
My daughter, younger one, is 3 years old and she's had no iPad, no phone, no screen. Yeah. Why does that happen? It's because we never watch anything on the screen. Yeah. Of course, we are working on the phone.
You watch a movie together as a family.
We don't do that also.
I'm just saying, whatever you do, you do things together.
You do things together. True. I get that. So, but whatever you do, you don't have to tell the child, you don't do this. You just stop doing that yourself. So it is actually the biggest challenge is, as parents, you have to become the best versions of yourself. And because the age group that we are talking about, I'm sure so many parents are listening. So fathers and mothers both cannot be drinking and telling their children drinking is bad. Smoking.
I would not say drinking is bad. They should know. Now, for example, there is a genetic predisposition. If Dadaji was an alcohol issues the, ya jaise Nana ji ka tha, hai na? So the child should know, and the father should know, that it's something like sugar is bad, equally bad.
True.
But that balance, and you should know where you're heading.
True. But I feel like as children, you don't understand the difference that where you draw the line. Children don't understand. You think very casual exposure to alcohol at home, like parents are drinking and chilling, and every second day that's happening.
Because the parents don't know this.
Yeah. So do you think that impacts the child?
Yeah. Definitely.
Because the child doesn't know where to draw the line, or this is good or bad.
The point is, if he has a happy home, and he has a very good relationship, with the parents, then pretty much the child is sorted out.
Right.
Major factor he was. School is also not that big a factor. Mm-hmm. He feels like, staying at home, coming home, sitting with the mom and dad, and not talking about what he did, but what he's feeling.
True.
Those moral, he needs to, if the father practices humility, for example, the child obviously is going to be humble.
True.
And caring, love.
True.
That is what parents need to be.
True. Some parents believe strict control protects children.
That's an illusion. Anybody thinking that they can control their child is the biggest illusion they have.
While others believe giving freedom builds trust. From your experience, which approach, though you have kind of answered this before also, which approach?
Strictest. Works? It cannot be either I'm going to shout at my child or slap him, and the other way is I'm going to pamper him.
True.
So it has to be, you cannot make decisions, parents cannot make decisions based on their feelings.
Right.
A mother or a father, they love the child so much, so the decisions they make, they're not, they need to be made logically. What is good for the child? Right. Now, for example, for a 10th class, he's not doing good in his studies or whatever, or other things, whatever. He's not playing. You cannot reward him for that. Buy him a car, buy him a scooter, whatever.
Right.
So it has to be logical.
True. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Is drug abuse only a problem of
I'm sorry to cut you, but the more important thing is also that mother and father, they don't work as one unit.
Yes, I was actually going to ask
as
that.
Every decision has to be, because me as a child, I'm a recovering addict myself, recovered. It's been 14 years I've not used drugs.
Right.
And I knew कि मैंने मम्मी से क्या मांगना है, डैडी से क्या मांगना है, and then अगर कुछ नहीं चलेगा दादी से कैसे करना है मैनिपुलेट. So I know.
Yes.
है ना, 3 आ गए ना.
Children
so it has to be one.
So now that you said, you use the word dadi, so I see that when they're decision making families, when there's a unit together, a family staying together, and the child is very smart, like we all know. You think sometimes this is not about drugs or something?
The family who's staying as one unit,
there's
not going to be an issue with the child. He's not going to manipulate.
Right.
He's not. We are teaching him manipulation, no?
But if there grandparents living in the same house and they interfere in parents' decision, does that impact the child as well?
See, I don't know, the word interfere is itself negative, but I think it is I'm not a father.
Right.
Yeah. And, but this is the biggest blessing one could have, because I've seen mothers, mothering a child is a, very tedious, and, draining job.
True.
So if you have grandparents in that home who can help, nothing like it, but then again the point is how healthy are they themselves?
We see in a general setup all the time, like how a couple would together make a decision that, this is what has to be done. But then comes the grandparents and they're like, kuch nahi hota, we will do it. Come on,
grandparents need to be supportive, not interfering.
Yes, that's the correct word, actually.
Because at the end of the day, the mother and the father have to decide how they want to bring up the child. True. So that wisdom, my dadi had that wisdom. And she, I used to call her Chaiji, and she was not educated. I think 6th or 7th class. But she was the wisest lady I've ever seen.
True.
And others were all doctors or whatever, but she was the wisest.
Right.
So if you have a person like that, wise grandparents, nothing like it.
Nothing like it. That's a blessing, I think. Yeah. It's a blessing even for the parents.
If it is toxic and it's dysfunctionality, फिर तो वो जहाँ से भी आएगी, wherever it comes from.
But the child is smart to pick up on that. And
very, very smart.
Okay, so what are the earliest warning signs parents often miss before addiction is visible?
See, the earliest would be anger, tantrums, and one of the main reasons is that, friendship or associating with children above their age, 3 years, or 4 years, that is very dangerous. Okay. Like for a 10-year-old, if he's playing with a 14 or a 15-year-old, this thing, that's not done.
Right. So, okay,
and
I'm very curious.
Then obviously excessive phone use.
Right.
One thing, because he's escaping from something, no?
Right.
Because the problem is he's not able to sit with himself. Everybody, the problem is this only, that we cannot sit with ourselves. You need to learn to do that.
I think it's not a child's problem, it's adult problem as well. We're just not
कहते हैं ना, बोर होना सीखना पड़ता है. It's not कि you have to do something, this thing. It's not like that. You have to learn how to relax and sit.
Would you, I asked this question on the previous podcast also. Do you think going back and healing the trauma of childhood is very important? Because at some point of time, it will bother you somewhere.
See, I would say that I'm a therapist, I'm a counselor, whatever. I'm a internationally certified directional. I myself, I have 2-3 counselors. Everybody needs, I'm not saying even counseling, you need some wise person in your life. It could be anyone.
But there are people who will just dismiss the word trauma and say, oh no, बचपन ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता, सारे बच्चे ऐसे करते, सबके साथ ऐसे हुआ था, कुछ तो हुआ ही होता है. Don't revisit. You have to be positive in life and be motivated in life.
See, we cannot forget anything in our lives unless until को हमारे सिर पे डंडा मार दे, है ना? But we need to learn forgiveness.
True.
My dad hit me a lot, everything, but I forgave him.
True.
Earlier, I remember as a child, I used to go into the washroom and I used to cry. कि मेरे dad मुझे समझते नहीं, he doesn't understand me, why God, why this, why that. So, I was always blaming everything to my father. Yeah? He controlled me, he never let me wear what I want to wear, the kind of hair I want to keep, then what kind of, which stream to choose, what do I have to do, even though it was not forced, But then my dad or my family would be like, okay, we'll buy you a car or a bike and you do it. And I didn't have the courage, at that. The child doesn't have the courage to stand by, no, this is what I want to do and this is what I'm going to do. And I don't want to be a doctor, for example. I did not have the. So I blamed him for everything.
Right.
Unless and until so I went through the pain, and then when I quit drugs, then I understood that drugs is not the issue. It is, other things than this. Because drugs I did at 17. But as a child, I was not okay. I used to lie. I didn't have this thing. I could not ask money from my mom also. I would take out 10 rupees from her purse. What to do? And I would go to the school canteen and buy something, like a Coke or, a spring roll, something like that, and treat them. Why? Because I thought my self-esteem was so low, कि अगर मैं इनको खिलाऊंगा पिलाऊंगा नहीं, they will not be my friends. So the problem started there.
Right.
So today, so when I quit drugs, I thought the problem was gone. But my relationship went more bad with my wife. I thought that maybe it was the drugs, we are not happy.
Right.
But it became worse. So then, I had to go back, then I had a mentor, everything therapy. And my issue started like maybe when I was 3-year-old. And now that there's research which say that when a mother is pregnant, if she's stressed and trauma, the child is going to get affected.
Absolutely agree.
So you have to, the problem is not, even if now people come to me for marital counseling also, the problem didn't start, you guys are married for 3 years. The problem for the husband started when he was born.
Yes.
And for that, so you have to take both of them.
True.
There. And people expect कि हमारे को कुछ ना, they'll give some magic, this thing, and it'll work. The point is that you don't need to focus on each other, focus on yourselves.
True.
Work on yourselves.
True.
Rest automatically everything will follow.
So when we at the school, I told you that before also, I really desperately wanted to have a marriage counselor on the podcast because I genuinely feel when we are talking kids, we are always talking about children. So the podcast is about children. Everything that is surrounding my child, we're going to be talking about it. And because we're talking drugs and because you've said so much about your own marriage, when there is a child in the equation and there is a parental relationship which is not, good enough, does it affect the child?
See, definitely, no child is...
You can't fake it, right?
No,
you can't fake a good relationship.
See, every child who comes to this, God makes them as pure and innocent and everything. What they become is what kind of experiences they have.
And the first experience is parents.
Yeah, that is the main, and that is when the development happens. These before 14, 12, that is when that personality is going to develop. So even if people come to me that my child is using phone so much, or he has this issue, we want to bring him for counseling or therapy. I tell them, okay, you bring him, but you need to come for therapy. What am I going? I don't expect anything from an 8-year-old, 10-year-old. You need to change yourselves.
Right.
They don't like it. I said, maybe I'll have 30 minutes with the child, but you need 10, 15, 20 sessions.
Right.
How can you, it's not the child's fault.
In this culture, it's, so if without taking names, if I look back and for people I've known, dealt with drugs in my background, if I see, I've had children who've had dysfunctional families, of course. But I've also seen this culture and trend in families where, if when people get married and if they have discord between the marriage, people advising them, have children, everything will fix it. Does it really fix it? Or does it ruin it for the child who's going to be born out of that marriage?
See, all my issues are inside me. Outside things cannot fix it. It's going to be worse. So when I have patients or I have people, we tell them for the first 2 years in recovery, like you quit drugs, 2 years, no girlfriend also, no relationship. First learn to love yourself.
True.
And then with the baby, maybe 2-3 years. I would want them to first, try 6 months a plant, then maybe a cat or a dog. Yes. If they're alive after 2 or 3 years, then you can maybe think about a child. Because if you have a bad marriage, you can get out of a bad marriage, you can get divorced, whatever. But once the child comes into the picture, then you can't even, it's very difficult now to, separate or divorce or this thing.
Right.
So, because of the child, you will suffer. You'll say, okay, it's bad. Iski kya galti hai isme?
True.
You cannot get out of an unhealthy marriage also then.
Right.
So please, and this is normal, the child is into drugs, है ना, या तो abroad भेज दो. Let's send him to Canada or America, where drug problem is more than India. Yeah.
True.
Then शादी कर दो, then बच्चा कर दो. It's going to keep getting worse and worse.
Why do you think this kind of mindset exists, and why are we still
Lack
not
of
able
awareness. There's no awareness. Like we went to GD Goenka
Right.
school also. So what we do there also is we talk to children, and we share. ठीक है ना? So
We should
maybe
be talking to parents also.
this is what I'm saying, na, that parents don't come, na.
Right.
And even people who are in treatment with me, the boys, the patients who stay in the NGO,
Right.
it's a task to ask the parents to, we have to call them, beg them, please come, your child is here, we need you for therapy. And the answer is like, the dad is too busy making money, the mother is mera boutique chal raha hai, mera time hi nahi hai. So if you don't have time for your child, what do you do then?
True. If a child suddenly changes friends, sleep patterns, or behavior, should parents panic or pause and start observing more closely?
See, I would not say panic is not good in any this thing, but I would say if this has happened, this is happening, all these things you are saying, baby,
Right.
then you're already late. Because it doesn't start with like this. Abuse always, or these things start very subtle. So it's there. I would suggest the family needs to get into therapy. It's not about the child.
So, if
Go
what
to
I
a
understand,
good counselor,
yes.
go to a good therapist,
Right.
as a family. The mother, father,
So, what
whoever
I
is the
understand from
immediate.
your conversation is that if a parent is observing something is off,
Mhm.
they should first reach
Yeah.
and get themselves counsel, and then maybe.
Him also maybe, but
Okay.
they need to.
But
both
the
of
parents
them.
are important.
Yeah. That
Much
is the
more
main.
than the child.
Child isn't. You cannot work on a child. What will you do? What do you expect from an 8-year-old, 10-year-old child? What do you expect?
Right. And at
They are
your-
not mature. You guys, the parents.
at the rehab center that you have,
Mehar Foundation. Yeah.
yes.
Mehar.
So when people come and drop off whoever is an addict, do the parents also come and take sessions, or do they just leave there?
No. There's some parents who get involved. We call them. There's some which don't. Our rehab, it's not like a lock and key thing.
Right.
Parents cannot drop. They
Right.
have to be willing, and they can, leave the treatment or leave the place the next day also. We don't keep, they have outings, they go to the gym, we take them
Right.
for swimming and everything,
Right.
for trekking. So,
Lovely. You often speak about the role of fathers. Why is a father's emotional presence so important in protecting children from addiction? So, over the years, I have also spoken about this a lot on my page as well. So I've grown up without a father, and I've thankfully been very blessed. So I always say this, when my father passed away, my mother took the role of being my dad. And women are so good, so she was just the perfect dad one could have, but I missed my mom.
yeah.
So, but regardless, I thankfully grew up well, and I've worked a lot on myself, on my healing, and so I always say that the father's importance in a child's life is tremendous, whether it's a boy or a girl, because this is this person you look back to even before your mother, when you're in terms of safety.
Yeah.
In terms of this first recognition that you get from the world, you look back at your father and your dad telling you, that was perfect, or you look beautiful, you look so nice. Even for girls, that first appreciation comes from your dad. And when that figure is missing emotionally, he's present but still not present. I think that's more worse.
See,
Then-
God never intended it to be a one-man job, otherwise
Yes.
the mother could get pregnant like this only.
Yes,
So the
absolutely.
father, it is a two-person job, number one.
Yes.
So the number one is that, I don't know about the emotional thing, he has to be involved, maybe playing with the child, it could be outdoor games or whatever,
Right.
It could be something like, taking him for trekking or whatever this thing is.
Right.
But he has to be a role model. That is the main thing, he has to, show what does masculinity mean.
True.
कहते हैं वो toxic वाला, that's not that one, but, and I think what you're saying, definitely daughters also, and at least, children, they need a, this thing.
No, you're right.
calm, stable, humble, humility. Those moral values, people are not working on that. That is what is more important in developed countries. I think till this second or third, there is no studies in it. It's just moral values they're teaching. They don't want them to learn anything, this thing, maths or whatever. So, but I think we are not focusing on humility, kindness, care. That is what we need. क्योंकि अगर हम मुझे लगता है बंदे बन जाएंगे ना, बाकी सब कुछ बन जाएंगे. पहले इंसान तो बन जाएं.
True.
It's more important to teach them to be a human being.
Right.
Rest out, I feel everything follows what he's going to become.
Right.
God takes care of the rest. So you do your job.
Raising good humans, raising morals, raising your children with values.
Yeah.
I think that's way more important.
And you have to kind of practice them first. You need to be a humble person.
Absolutely.
And if I am shouting at my wife, what am I trying to teach her? That humility. I'm you understand?
True. What are 3 simple fathering habits that help children feel emotionally safe and less likely to seek escape through substance?
Habits, same thing, spending time with your child. Yeah. And having an emotional bond, your child can talk to you, whatever he's feeling. Yeah. That is the main thing, I think. And, kind of, it's a partnership.
True.
Yeah. So, that partnership between mother and father, especially in our society, I think the males or the fathers, they have this thing that if we are earning money with and bringing it home, that is what this thing is. It's not. Children don't want money.
You think fathers should also practice listening to their wives, because that's when, the message goes out to the children, then, okay, my dad is listening to my mom. And by listening means putting the phone down and listening.
I would say, it's not even about listening. It is about, husband and a wife, can they have a conversation without raising their voice, without being agitated? Now, for example, the husband or the wife while talking, she's shouting or angry. They should know, that when to put, okay, that we are not able to talk right now. You're not okay. We'll talk tomorrow or something.
Right.
And like, कहते हैं ना कि husband wife की जो आवाज होती है, it should not go out of the bedroom. The child should not this thing. So, इतनी emotional maturity होना, and aware about yourself that I can talk calmly and we can resolve issues. We don't need to, shout and this thing.
True.
That has to be there, and
yes, I agree.
It's not easy.
I know. How can schools create an environment where children feel safe enough to speak up before making harmful choices?
I would say this, like regarding substance abuse, I told you that, say no to drugs is this, this lectures nobody wants to hear. As a child, if you would come to know, when I was in school, आज कोई वो आ रहा है, कुछ हमको भाषण देगा, वो करेगा, हमारा attention span ही इतना छोटा होता है, we cannot, who wants to listen to a भाषण?
It's worse now. So I think the schools really are making an effort. We are, at least at GD Goenka, we're making a lot of effort to connect with the parents, but that willingness from parents is far away. I still don't see parents as community. Even with my own daughter's school, I see if there's an event or something, the parents don't show up. I don't know what is happening to the parents today, that they are not showing up for their children. And when they are not showing up, tomorrow we will see children who are disturbed and dysfunctional because the parents aren't showing up. And I think this is the reason we are doing this podcast also, so that we can reach out to parents and tell them that you have to come. And school is not just about children. It's about building a community of parents as well.
It has become a social status.
Right.
Which school में हमने करना है, कौन होता है इसमें लेना, it is like, this thing. And then when you are getting, when you're getting into such schools and admitted, and, फिर कोई Mercedes में आ रहा है बच्चा को, that pressure is there, the parties are in expensive restaurants, So I think, ये जो हो रहा है, it should be more about, which school is kind of, involved with the children and the family. Relationship.
True.
The teachers should kind of, the parents should be, I think, so comfortable that they can come and, kind of talk to the teacher or something, that this is the issue he's facing at home. Maybe that is why he's not able to, focus in class.
True.
When he's not focusing in the class, or he's kind of, very naughty, or he's doing something, the reason is there again back at home.
True.
So that is what needs to be treated first.
But I think we've come a long way from how we were taught in schools and how our schools were.
Definitely, there's more awareness. Everything
so
is there.
much. Like today, when we go to PTMs and when I see what's happening in the school,
I
the
heard
teacher,
it's called as something like facilitator some meeting, and you're not allowed to, kind of, बहुत ज़्यादा वो नहीं करना है.
Yes.
I remember our time हमें तो टेंशन हो जाती थी कि
True.
parent teacher meeting आएगी छितर पड़ेंगे.
True. And my brother, I remember when he was in school, he used to keep telling my mother, "You please don't go. You'll start hating me over there only."
Yeah.
And there were all the parents and all the children sitting and waiting to meet a teacher. It's not that anymore at all. So there's a one-on-one conversation with the teacher. We are discussing about the child's behavior in school, how he or she is liking what they're doing in school, what kind of friend circle they're making, and how the teacher is also equally invested and wants to know what the child is doing at home and how she's behaving, how she's interacting with other children, how's the child behaving with people who are coming at home, or strangers. So I think we've come a long way.
I never shared with my best friends who are still my friends, my childhood friends. I never shared with them that, I am having issues. My mom and dad are fighting a lot. I'm not happy at home. I couldn't even share that with him.
Right.
So much of shame, fear of judgment. I had no one, that bond with someone. None of my teachers had that bond with me. At least one person should be there,
True.
the child, or talk to.
True.
And having one counselor, I think it's mandatory or something.
Right.
I have 3-4 psychologists in this thing. They cannot handle more than 2 patients.
Right.
It's so draining. So one counselor in a school, how can be a counselor for so many people? So the teachers need to be sensitized, or maybe go to work schools, like they need to send them to workshops,
Right.
which work on moral values. They work on themselves.
Yes.
So that they can also be a part. Teacher is a very pillar of this thing.
Absolutely.
Having a good teacher, I'm not saying academically good, but like a loving and a wise teacher.
So we had
nothing
a teacher,
can beat that.
We had a teacher at the podcast, and I was just listening to him, and he's like, for me, I'm not there to teach the subject. I want the children to first know me as a person and love me as a person. And we were talking in context that children, if they like you, they will like the subject also, and everything will fall into place. But you have to build that reputation with that child first. So you're absolutely right.
In
when
my
you say that.
the rehab, also these boys, they look up to me.
Absolutely.
So I will, when we do, house cleaning, we teach them, to clean, jhadu, pocha, whatever they have to do. I do it with them.
True.
Yeah. So if I can do it, I cannot tell them you do it. So then I take them to the gym, they work out with me.
Right.
So if I eat healthy, then they will do it. I cannot, just keep telling that this is not good, that is not good. He's going to say, the child knows what nonsense is happening.
Right.
And nobody wants to listen to a bhashan, chahe wo mummy ka ho, chahe daddy ka ho.
True. Absolutely. I agree. For parents who fear it might already be too late, what message of hope would you like to share with them?
I would say that please come out from that, this pressure, of the society, seek help, go share, because there's so much of taboo, with these things. When there is drug problem, and now you're talking about girls, if a girl is into drugs, that social taboo, it's not, but there's so much of help available today from government hospitals to other things. Talk to someone, please come out and share. When you share and you ask, automatically, that is how you find out, how you can be helped.
Like you just said very rightly before, that if a boy or a girl is into drugs, or if their behavior is not appropriate,
people can share it with their rishtedari.
Yeah. And the only fix in the Indian society is get them married. And then when the marriage is troubled, have the child. So I feel like for parents, it's a huge responsibility that even if you have teenagers or marriageable age children who are not doing okay, so you just pause and you fix your child before you send that child to somebody else's life or house.
I would not say fix your child, I would say fix yourself.
Fix yourself. True.
True. Do it as a family. Go to a therapist, but
True.
The immediate mother, father, and the child, they need to go.
There's
There's nothing wrong with the child.
Even if they're grown up adults.
See the point. See, there's nothing wrong with the child.
Right. So what happens when a child, we obviously say child, but when somebody is 24, 25 years old, they're not children, they're adults, and then the parents think it's not our job, it's his job to fix himself, or he should just get married and fix himself.
So then he's...
then the child becomes not the child.
See, if that boy, man, 24-year-old, is coming home and he's treating the home like a hotel. जब मर्जी उठ रहे हैं, मम्मी is giving the breakfast, फिर वो हो रहा है, कपड़े भी धुल के मिल रहे हैं, सब कुछ मिल रहे हैं. So you are kind of enabling him, he's going to be a boy, he's not going to be a man. True. He's so dependent on the mother. He's not grown up only, and he's going to have issues in marriage.
So they should be considered.
He's going to again be looking up to his mother.
Right. True.
And in a marriage to work, your husband or your wife has to be the most important person in your life.
True.
Your child is also supposed to be outside that circle. That is how the marriage is going to work.
Right.
If I'm married now, so if I if I give more importance to my mother, this is gone. She's my family and she has to be the most important person.
Absolutely, I agree with you. So last question. Some people believe fear-based talks scare children away from drugs, while others believe open conversations work better. Which approach truly works?
See, fear does not work with children. बच्चों को डर नहीं लगता. Cigarette पीने से, दारू पीने से. So fear approach doesn't work. Strictness, डांटना, मारना. This doesn't work. With drug problem, our Punjab, is, suffering with this thing, heroin or whatever, or Haryana also, Himachal also, everywhere. अगर fear से कुछ हो सकता होता, पंजाब पुलिस के डंडे से ऊपर तो कुछ नहीं है.
True.
So why is there addiction? फिर बच्चे क्यों कर रहे हैं? So डर कभी भी नहीं होता. Give factual knowledge to children.
Right. I think
that is what
they do
works.
better with facts.
Yeah.
Because they're smart enough, they understand.
Yeah. Fear never works.
Fear never works. I agree. I see that with my own children also. Every time as it's very human only to sometimes, like how you've been trained and how you've been raised to bring up something fearful and tell them don't do this, aise ho jayega. And then I realized that, okay, no, this is a generation who's educated and they have their own brain and they can put things into perspective. And then I will sit down with logic and explain things and I'll ask her to do her own research and see.
Yeah.
That works way better.
Yeah, spending time with them,
right?
Sitting with them, investing, without your phone in your hand.
Yes, absolutely. So, thank you so much. I'm so glad this conversation has happened, and I hope parents have a lot to take away from this. Not with regards to just drug abuse, but also with regards to how important it is to build a happy marriage first before you bring
basis.
Children in,
yes.
And that's the base of everything. So much, not just drug abuse, but for other healthy marriages, for your children to have happy marriages, it's very important for them to see one. Yeah. So that is the biggest takeaway from this. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome.
Thank you. As we wrap up today's episode of Goenka Alpha Edge, we hope this conversation gave you not just information but perspective, something to pause, reflect on, and carry forward. If this episode added value to your learning journey, do follow and subscribe so you never miss conversations that matter. Because meaningful learning grows when it's shared. At Goenka Alpha Edge, we believe education isn't just about grades or career, it's about building awareness, responsibility, and strong human values. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep evolving.